Hey.
Recording.
Recording.
Randy Carlson, there we go. July 3rd, 76. Found it. Everything has been done correctly.
Good job.
I know, right?
So impressed.
Okay, let's not go nuts here. Hello there. Hi,
Hello.
Mrs. Ryan.
Hi, Mr. Ryan.
Hello, everybody at home. Hello. Let's see. Happy anniversary. Start with that, 5-year anniversary. Today is Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. I am here with Mrs. Ryan, and it is our 5-year anniversary.
Yay, happy 5.
I know. I got you this pencil because it's our wooden anniversary. You wrote something on a social about chopsticks or something, and I was like,
I wanted to go to dinner at that Thai place.
I know you do. So let's do that for
All right.
something for you. It does. Thai is not something we both enjoy together regularly. It doesn't really say much about us, and I couldn't figure out the
I walked
significance.
by it the other day, and I was like, oh, I can walk here, and we can have chopsticks. Win.
All right.
And it's a good restaurant, supposedly.
It is. It's supposed to be great. You're talking about the rustic spoon?
Yeah.
There's the information. All right. Well, I don't think we're going to be doing that tonight, if that's okay. But if you want to, we can.
We'll do it another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been going already all day.
I know. You must. Yeah, I forgot about Aaron. We moved the day.
Oh, my gosh.
Never
No,
mind.
it's fine. Happy anniversary. We should talk about something that we're in the process of a bit of a brand change or a name change, a reconfiguring.
Redesign?
What would you call that? Yeah, what would you call that? This is your old business.
Well, it can be multiple things. It can be a rebrand. It can be a sequel. It can be another next episode. Like, there's so many different ways.
Yeah, I thought about the same thing. So essentially, we're trying to wean away from Life with the Ryans because we feel that Life with the Ryans really is, the Ryan show, and it's not very us.
No.
The emphasis was on life, and somehow that's gotten, and it's always about the Ryans. And that makes sense because people would say like, oh, let's watch Dave, or let's watch Leno, or let's watch Carson. So of course it gets, anyway, with that though, we don't want it to be as much about us. There's enough of us. So we're transitioning to, we think it's going to be It's Tonight's Show. That's what we're using right now.
That.
And the It's, of course, is to Gary Shandling. And then Tonight's Show is just sort of a take on Tonight's Show. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but it just seemed kind of weird and neat, the fact that like
It seems to
the
fit.
Letterman stuff would end up with some version of a Tonight's Show at the end. Whatever.
It fits.
Yeah.
I like it.
Really?
It changes the feel to me. It's not as... It changes the focus back to being a show versus an us checking, like us just being us thing.
I think it's important to not lose that, though. You know what I mean? Like this really is just a name change because we had the set change and everything else. It's it's evolution. It's not like we want to do different. We'd like to do different things, but I don't want to stop doing. Quite frankly, I like still being able to just like talk with you, like with other people here, but. It's this too. It's, you know what I'm saying? And that's not very show-like by all means.
It's the new show that we're doing because this is we're the host, like our collective energy, which is whatever it is the host of the episode. And you say it always best to our guests of like, we have the nice furniture, the desk and the whatever, so that we can be a little more casual, and that's us.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that. So I just have to basically stand by what I say.
Yeah.
Stay authentic.
Yeah.
Stop second guessing it in your head, dipshit. That's what we all do, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do it. We all do it. It's tough to get centered, especially these days. All right. Well, you know what? That's good. We've addressed it. We're dealing with it. We're going to figure it out. It is good. And we're open to suggestions. You know, we're going to do whatever we want to do in the end, but we would love to hear what you.
But when there's more involvement, there's new things that come with that, and this 100%. Is one of those things. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
I agree. Do you feel like checking in with, before we get to the news, would you like to check in with the East Coast feed?
It's the best anniversary present I could get.
That sounds like a yes. All right, let's check in with the East Coast feed and Steve Kaz. Roll it, Hal.
Hi, Mrs. Ryan. It is Steve Kaz and Coraline Kaz, right in the amusement park here in Ridgefield, Connecticut, on the East Coast feed, coming to you live. It's a random weekday night. This is how we do. Jones, do you like the horsey? What does the horsey say? And the horsey says nay, just so you know.
I mean, how do you not love that?
Oh, I can't wait to meet that kid. He's
Oh
so
my gosh,
awesome.
you still haven't met her. That's right. Oh, I forget that all the time.
Her face is just so like, whatever, until he's like, and she's like, yeah, okay, nay.
There's a lot of things I really want to give them as parents credit, because something that I noticed and I've seen with other people, and obviously this won't work for everybody. There is no book that works for everybody, but they don't change around their kid. And I don't mean that like they don't act differently and they're doing drugs around their kids and stuff like that. I don't mean that. I mean, that painted all sorts of pictures that were unnecessary. Forgive me. They don't like get quiet when the kid's napping. They continue to keep the same operational volumes and levels all around, and the kid gets used to life versus being sheltered from it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. I just want to make the distinction that they're very careful to, like, they never said like life isn't going to change. They evolved their life to accommodate their new lifestyle that had this kid in it.
Is that your phone ringing there on camera too?
Is it? I thought I turned it off. I should have the D&D on.
There we go. Okay, Mrs. Ryan, we're back. Without, I'm gonna fix.
I put my do not disturb on.
No, it's not your fault. We're still using your iPhone.
Here's the deal. We're authentic. I turned off my D&D to airdrop my anniversary picture to myself this morning, and I forgot to turn it back on. That's my bad. Sorry about that.
All right, but people don't know what happened yet, so I'm trying to tell them. Do you want to do it?
No.
Are you upset now?
No.
We had to stop for a second. If we cut out before we were talking about whatever we were talking about, which was Steve Kaz and parenting, and I don't want to get back into it because I don't know where it was going in the first place. But I would like to play another East Coast feed and get this fucking train back on the rails here. Woohoo! You ready, Mrs. Ryan?
Ready.
Here we go.
Ryan, Mrs. Ryan, Steve Kaz, and Nick on lunch for a little East Coast feed. As you can see, it's bright as hell. That's only because it's sunny here. You know what? It's 95 degrees. Might as well be in California with you people. We're enjoying some Fresh Prince summertime in the background because it's a good day today. Hope you guys have a wonderful holiday week. Love you guys. Peace out, LA.
So that's actually like right now. He sent that right before we started the show.
Oh my God.
That was lunchtime on the East Coast.
Thank you, Kaz.
95. They're experiencing the heat wave that I believe we're about to get a heat wave, right?
Yeah.
Like the end of this week.
You said this weekend was going to be hot Friday?
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, it looks like 106 here. It might be the one Breakfast Club I'm not sure about.
So gross.
No, how refreshing that's going to be. Mrs. Ryan, I would love to get to the news and ask you the question that's on everyone's minds. What's going on?
What's going on? Dun, dun, dun. My news is not great today. I was super distracted by myself. But I do like these stories. The first one is after fish pedicure, woman loses toenail.
Is that a problem?
It was somehow a surprise to everybody. Like she let fish gnaw her toes. Like,
yeah, but that's a thing. Like you put your feet in the water in some places and they all come and...
It was a fad. It's since been not cool. In like 10 states, they've outlawed it. Like it's not a
in
good
10
thing.
states, they've outlawed it?
Yeah, like you can't operate a fishery manicure place.
So what happened?
Well, she got into this whole thing. Like there was a whole study about like, oh, why did this happen? And it finally...
I'm asking you, what happened? I don't understand why did it happen? She went to the thing that I didn't know there was any problems with those things, but they eat is it bacteria and stuff?
They're meant
fish
to
eat bacteria?
Yeah.
Or fungus or something?
Yeah, they're supposed to eat like fish, fungus and shit like that's on your feet and toes. And apparently it dug into the cuticle beds and her toenail fell off.
Sounds like you don't know either. I'm curious how it happened or what happened. Is it an infection maybe? Maybe something got infected? Like, you know what I mean? The toenails don't just fall off.
this procedure is not healthy and she shouldn't have done it. What happened is she went to get her feet gnawed on by fish.
I understand. So the issue is we're saying then that no one should have this foot thing done anymore. That's your position?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was always curious about it. It seemed so neat. I've only watched YouTube videos where people are laughing and giggling at the tickle.
It seemed to me I've
lost a toenail before. I don't know what the problem is. Usually the injury or whatever the issue is that's so bad to have your body reject a toenail, you're generally happy to have it gone when it leaves you. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't think this was just a healthy nail that fell off for no reason after some fish ate some bacteria off her feet.
Here's the deal. I don't think you have the healthiest feet to go into a place that you're like, oh, having fish gnaw at my feet will be of benefit. Like, you're not the healthiest person to go, and I have so much bacteria, like fish can eat my feet. There was some discrepancy.
All right, let's move on because we clearly don't see eye to eye on this at all.
Okay. This next one, Titanic artifacts are caught in an international tug of war.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't think I care, though. What's your position?
Well, I wanted to go to the museums, and apparently the tug of war is between British museums and U.S. private investors. So I'm like...
To me, it all depends. Like, doesn't it belong to the White Star Line? You know what I mean? It's been in the international waters so long. Like, where should it go? I don't know. What do they want to do with it? I agree. I love the museum idea. I agree. Anything Titanic,
the museum wants to maintain it and keep it up versus the private investors just wanted to sell it.
What are they going to do with the money? You know what I mean? Like, there's more to it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
build
know.
a Titanic museum with the money or something like that? You know, I mean, probably not, but something like that, maybe okay. Although I think there's enough Titanic museums. You know how many replicas of the goddamn Titanic there are on land around the world? Yeah. Way more than I ever knew. I only knew of that half one that's in Kentucky or something where they rebuilt like 3/4 of the ship or something. And then the Mexico, I made that up, but someplace in just the U.S., someplace that you wouldn't expect. And then there are other ones all around the world, like that are complete and full.
That's weird. If this stuff's real, like it should be. I think the museum needs to hold on to it. But
okie doke. Next. Sorry. No, no good. Not enough.
Happy anniversary.
No. More? Need something else?
No, that was good.
I don't want to leave you feeling unfulfilled with what's going on.
I'm good. 3 things caffeine does in your brain is the next one that I liked and looked at today. But I'll talk about that in a full show because it definitely is.
Are you okay?
No, my body is yeah, you did, but my body's a nightmare today. So like anything that throws me off, like definitely takes a lot of energy to bring it back.
I'm sorry.
So whatever.
Well, I'm sorry that you're going through that, and I'm sorry that that I and the camera thing made it worse. Apologies.
Life.
That's true too, but I don't want to make it harder for you.
Thank you.
You good?
No, I have one more that I just wanted to get your opinion on.
Okay, great.
Because I didn't read the whole thing and I don't know a ton about it, but I was curious what you thought. Electric vehicles mean first responders have to deal with battery fires, not just gas. Is that as big of a problem as they're making it? I figured you guys
technically
might know.
electric cars are, there a Tesla, what's her face's Tesla lit on fire the other day, but that's certainly a rare occasion. Batteries, how many, there have been batteries on planes. Batteries can cause fires, but so can combustible engines and gas tanks. So, I don't know that emergency responders should be. Is this a thing we need to worry about seriously?
I got the impression that
I'd worry about the range before I worry about the fires. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they need to handle it differently.
That's what the article was.
It's toxic and really gnarly, and you don't want to do that, but you have to. So
yeah. Interesting, though. I have to tell you that you guys took that probably the right way, and I think that I was thinking about it differently. I was thinking about electric vehicle, the emergency response vehicles being electric. I was seeing that.
Oh no, they were like.
You're saying that electric cars in general are causing new issues for. Yeah, that makes sense. Acidity and everything else. You crack a Tesla in half, that stuff's probably going to leak out somewhere. Yeah. I never thought about that. All right, good for you.
That's that.
All right, I would like to talk very quickly about Jerry Seinfeld being sued over the creative on Comedians, Cars, and Coffee.
Yeah.
I'm curious, was it Conan and Andy Richter who did that? Because essentially we've got comedians and a talk show driving around, and that's what they used to do when Conan first started 20 years ago with the desk drive. They would drive the desk all around. They put a green screen behind, and then they'd just have the host and the guest at the desk, and they'd drive all around town with backs. It was a comedy bit. It wasn't an interview, but I mean.
But it's an interview show-ish.
My point is, I don't know if any. What are the fulcrums here? Cars, comedians, coffee. I mean, I don't know how much of an idea there is to steal there. I feel like that's some people who they were having a conversation over coffee, and I feel like if this guy handled it differently, so would Jerry. You know what I mean? Like this guy's suing Jerry, so this guy's not going to see a dime from Jerry willingly.
Yeah, no.
It's not going to work out now, all of a sudden by itself. Anyway, good luck to all involved in that. I think that we might be on Camp Seinfeld on that one. Also, it's like season 8, and we just had the big Netflix, deal, and I mean, it's ripe for picking for
the article I read was about the statute of limitations on a claim like that
about to expire,
and it was yeah. So it goes to your point.
Samsung phones spontaneously texting users photos to random contacts without permission.
Whoops.
Let me say that again. Samsung phones, if you own a Samsung phone, chances are it may be texting your photo album to other people in your address book without you knowing about it. And it doesn't even, like, somebody will get, hey, what's with all these dick pics, man?
Uh-oh.
And
that's how you
he's
find
like,
out?
what? That's an interesting problem.
I
think it's a hysterical hack. Like whoever hacked into this and did, because somebody did this. I mean, you know what I mean? Like live your life transparently, and it's just crazy.
It is crazy. I really hope Stacey has a Samsung phone, and I hope her photos get out.
It's terrible. You're wishing
just because she's fun, and she doesn't dick pic. She does fun photos.
All right. Last one, Sony uploaded an entire film to YouTube instead of the Red Band trailer today. And at the time of the article, it was still up at the time of printing. No joke. There's a Sony film. They were updating, they were posting a YouTube Red Band trailer today.
Yeah.
Someone in marketing posted the entire film, the entire 90-minute feature. That has not been released in theaters yet.
That's not awesome.
It's not good. It's not good for somebody. Somebody is probably not going to have a good day on that one. No, I don't remember. The name of the movie was not anything I would know, so it's not like Avengers 16 or something, so I don't know how big of a deal it is, but it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. That sucks.
That's been What's Going On, Mrs. Ryan.
What's going on? Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
You want to take a break? You want to get more of whatever
you need?
We have
a guest coming, yeah?
Do you want to drive?
No.
It's okay if you do.
No, I don't. I really don't. I'm just gonna not interject.
No, I want you here. Of course, we have a guest coming. We take a break first, and then we bring them in during the break.
Then a break would be great.
All right. Okay. You got me worried about you a little bit.
Join the club.
All right, we'll be right back with Randy Carlson. Tori,
my goodness.
we are back. Then we're back. He likes to do that every time. All right, well, we are back here, and we are here with Randy Carlson.
Hi, Randy.
How are you, man?
I'm fantastic.
Oh, it's good to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
I feel like we've bonded just over the last I don't know, 15 minutes before the show, and then like 10 minutes now. Feels good.
Yeah, this is really fun. This is a cool thing.
I don't know why I thought you were not local. I don't know why. I thought you were East Coast or something else. Taking that out of consideration, you're nearby, and how come we don't see you more often?
Well, because I'm not that nearby. You know, I'm not going to hit the Breakfast Club because it's a 2-hour drive.
And then the hill.
And then the hill. But I try to get out to LA as much as I can to hit some of the events and stuff. So.
Yeah, well, if there's ever anything cool going on down there where they don't mind a little water showing up, we'd love to come.
Yeah, no,
we love supporting people that we like and care about.
Well, there's
believe it or not,
a lot of great roads out in my area there. It's like Disneyland for the Porsche driver. So
is that true?
It is. It's like phenomenal.
I mean,
awesome.
we're so lucky with the Crest and Malibu and everything else. I haven't been down there at all.
No, there's phenomenal roads. I actually came across Road and Track magazine once shooting a feature on all the latest hot Porsches, basically on this road that I call my driveway. And they were out running through the hills out there, and my wife calls and says, "Hey, there's a bunch of Porsches up on the Crest. You got to come check it out." So I rode my motorcycle up there, and there's Peter Egan and all the crazy Porsches from that era. They were doing a test drive through the hills.
So you have your own Crest over there?
Kind of.
What is it called, or what's the area?
I'm east of Temecula, so it's out kind of in the hills, not too far from the Palms to Pines Highway, which is a really beautiful road to run from up. You start down in Palm Desert, Palm Springs area.
Like the 111 around?
It's, what is it? Palms to Pines is 74.
Okay.
But you can start down in Palm Desert. You can go up the hill. You can end up in Idlewild, which is like a really cool little mountain town.
Yeah.
And so that's a really hot run. A lot of people do that. Because obviously there's a lot of fun cars down in the Palm Desert area.
Yeah.
But the whole backcountry San Diego area is just gold. I mean, it is beautiful, beautiful driving.
What kind is it? A variety of all different types, or is it really tight twisties, better for the smaller, lighter cars?
Well, there's some really tight stuff like Palomar Mountain Road to go up to the top of Palomar where the observatory is. Mm-hmm. There's some really technical, twisty, hard corners there. The motorcycle guys go up there and tempt fate and run stuff, but the cars are great there too. But I mean, it's mostly 2-lane twisties, but there's some nice open road where you're away from the city and away from all the madness. And
you're saying all the right things.
Your car. I mean,
one invite away.
No,
it's down near San Diego.
Yeah, down near San Diego. The whole backcountry San Diego area is really cool to explore, but. You guys come down. We can meet out in wine country of Temecula, which is really cool, and then kind of aim out into the hills from there. And it's a ton of fun.
That's
definitely.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, so people who are sitting here, they probably recognize you, maybe from television, maybe from wherever. Right now, you're doing the Discovery Show. I wrote it down, but Sticker Shock.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about that? It's in the middle of its run right now, right? So we can talk about it.
Yeah, no, we did 13 episodes for the first season. We're down to the last 3, and so tomorrow, Wednesday nights, is when it airs. So we've got 3 more episodes on the first season, and it's basically kind of an antiques roadshow sort of a vibe, but with cars and car stuff. So people bring their.
What's the car stuff?
Well, like if you're into cars, right? You've into car stuff, right? So you might have.
Yes and no. What's the
not
car
everybody.
stuff?
Well, you guys are pretty sparse around here, but
just different.
I see a toy Porsche back there, so
right.
You qualify, right?
Okay.
You have stuff.
So that's the car stuff. That's the kind of car stuff.
Automobilia, some sort of collectible
okay.
item. We had somebody bring in the racing suit that Shirley Muldowney, the drag racer, wore when she had her horrific wreck and almost died. And
that's huge.
It was like, whoa, here's this artifact from this point in time.
You probably don't know who she is, but I met her when I was a kid with my dad at Summer Nationals.
Yeah. No, I mean,
in Englishtown, New Jersey.
Awesome. And, so things like that.
She's one of the first women to do it, right?
Yeah.
And certainly at that level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was is still a big deal. I guess her name's still a big deal.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
That's cool.
I mean, it's just a really cool, like, goosebump item where you go, wait, you can see where this was cut off of her. And
That's
it was
weird.
this, like, tragic moment that also...
It's amazingly awful.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there was certainly a like, ick
It's
factor
history
to
now.
it, but it's history.
Yeah.
And the story
All right.
behind it and behind the cars and stuff that come on the side are awesome.
That's always where it comes down to, is that story.
Yeah.
You have good ones.
And that's,
I bet there's a ton on that show.
well, everybody, I mean, really when they chose cars to bring on the show, they chose people that had a really interesting connection to their car and a good backstory, which is something that I really dig. You know,
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Can we segue just real quick to you and your car, and that it was actually okay? So, we have a very good friend / Porsche family member in Tori Alonso. He's a big fan of yours, and he introduced us. He introduced us to you at Luftgekalt.
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's great! It's so nice to meet you. I want to check out this car over here." And it's like, "Oh, well, that's my car, your car." And then, of course, I walk over with Tori, and he starts giving me the scoop, and he tells me that was your dad's car.
Yeah.
So what the heck? How did that all play out?
Well,
Because it's not a clean just, he left it to you and now you drive it.
No, I mean, the basic story is I tell people that my first ride in that car was preconception. So you can't go back any farther than that, you know. After a particularly spirited drive, I entered, you know, but... So, I mean,
Say what you will, right?
The car's always been in my life, and I rode around in it as a kid, and I remember spinning out on a nice little twisty road with Dad once, and thinking that was fun while he was white knuckling it. And, you know, it was always kind of there. And then when he passed away in the 80s, I was like 18. It was like out of his collection.
You were 18 when your dad passed away?
Yeah.
So was I.
Well, out of his whole collection, that was kind of the car that I bonded the most with. So
Yeah.
I sort of raised my hand for that, and you know, promised my mom I'd make payments on it, and eventually she just kind of gave it to me.
Oh, so you have had it the whole time. It wasn't one of those you had to go track down. It was sold at some point.
No, it's always kind of been there.
I may have bridged stories, though, because Tori has that story with his mom's Beetle.
Right.
Where he had to go track it
well,
down.
there is another car that was one of my dad's that we recently discovered again. And I can tell you that story.
Please,
yeah.
Well, they're all great. The 356 we're talking about, though, is the one that was at Luftgekalt with a little fellow on it, a little mascot, who actually is here with us today.
Right. Should we put him on the seat next to us?
Why not?
There?
We think he may have actually already been on that chair. He may be, other than Carol Leifer, he may be the only person who's actually been on this set before.
Oh, that's weird.
When he was here previously, it was a different host and a different show. Oh, sure. There you go. Does this South African Springhare have a name?
My kids have named this little fellow Squeegee.
Squeegee.
And I don't know why, but Squeegee.
There we go.
So
Squeegee
glad
was
I
on
get to
the
look at it this whole time.
Squeegee may or may not have been the same fellow who was here with Jack Hanna, and not here, but on the Letterman show with Jack Hanna. The only reason I knew what that animal was, and I guess it was a bit of trivia. Most people didn't know what he was that day. The only reason I knew was because we had been watching videos in anticipation of this stuff arriving of Letterman from this era, and Jack Hanna had brought one of those Springhares on. And it was like maybe the night before or the night before the night before where we had just seen that. So I was like, I know what that is.
That's like really awesome. I had no clue of that connection, but the homecoming of the Springhair and the Letterman desk.
It's a pretty big deal.
I think it's really poetic. I'm very glad that he came along.
Well, thank you by all means for bringing him. I mean, this is definitely a treat for everyone that we did not expect.
And he was on your car at Luftgekalt.
Right.
Said properly.
Yeah, how do you pronounce it? I don't know.
Who knows?
But,
do you normally keep it on your car when you're displaying it and stuff?
No, but I don't know. This was a yard sale find when we were out cruising around once.
Not that long ago. You said a year ago?
Maybe a year ago. And it just cracked me up. I like odd things, and it certainly qualifies. So we actually saw it, and I went, I should buy that. My wife looked at me like,
are you crazy?
You shouldn't. And then we drove off and we went and had lunch, and I went, I'm going to go by and see if it's still there.
So it was Fringe before lunch, and it was like, yeah,
Have to
I
do
think
it.
so. Let me just
Right.
check, and if it's there, I'm going to buy it, right?
That was kind of it, you know.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So
I love the idea that in lunch, it may have walked away with another owner.
much to my surprise, it was still there.
And your wife's chagrin.
It was meant to come home. And it provided a great afternoon of the kids trying to research what it was, because we had no clue.
Oh, so it was still a mystery at the time.
was a total mystery.
Like, this could be some kind of crazy freak animal that there's only one of. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? And we ended up learning all about springhares, and it's actually a pretty interesting creature.
All right. Well, before we get to the dad car story that obviously is interesting to me,
Right.
I want to stay on the spring here. And something interesting happened today. Something today?
Well, you know, when you walk through the city with like this in your hand, right? People, it's an uncommon thing. So the elevator on the way up here to your studio there was awkward silence that much amused me.
And what were your elevator mates like?
Well, two young ladies carrying guitars, so they were obviously the creative sort. I
Wouldn't you know it? There are musical guests for today. Let's bring them in.
right, there we go, and their new mascot. But,
Oh, God. That is so great.
That's pretty funny. So, but they not even eyebrow raises, probably just right to the phones, huh?
no, yeah, they did not want to make eye contact with me or my elevator mate here at all.
That is so funny. And you've got a trailer outside with a car on it too.
I do, yeah.
So
yeah.
what kind of car is on it?
Well, it's a Volkswagen, but it is Porsche powered, so it actually
Oh.
has a 356
that's
engine in
cool.
it, and I'm delivering it to its new owner, so I get to be Santa Claus this afternoon,
Oh,
That's
that's
got to
awesome.
be so
that.
fun.
How far do you have to go?
up into the valley, Encino area.
Oh,
is where-
cool. That's not
so
too
it's
bad at all.
Too
Good.
bad.
All right. So another dad car that you did have to track down. Only
Yeah.
because those stories are very, very interesting to me.
Well, I mean, the whole car thing, right? We get it from somewhere. I mean, I guess some people are just one day go, I want to play with cars. But
no, you know it comes from somewhere. You're right.
I mean, my dad was a car guy, and so I followed him around everywhere. And you know, I was one of those kids that can name any car at a mile away, and that was kind of fun. So I've always felt that my connection to my dad is through the car stuff, and
Wow.
so having something like the Porsche where I drive that and I feel his hands on the wheel and stuff, it's a cool thing. I dig
That's
that.
really cool.
But
That's really cool to be able to have. My dad passed away at 18 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have something to go. This actually is the closest thing because we used to watch Letterman together.
Right.
He grew up loving Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners and stuff like that, and he used to go see those tapings in the Ed Sullivan Theater
Cool.
when he was a kid. I used to hear those stories, and then we used to
Right.
watch Letterman together. Ironically, my Porsche and car connection comes from Letterman because I grew up in the same town, and he used to drive his 944 and other fancy cars all around, and the connection was made, and then I eventually bought a 944 after my dad passed away, and that's how it happened for me.
gotcha.
For you to be
Cool.
able to get behind the wheels of any really old car, probably certainly an air cooled or your old Porsche that was actually belonged to your father, and have that connection, that must just be awesome for you.
I don't know. I feel real lucky to be in that situation because a lot of people kind of pine for a car in their past, and I don't know. That stuff is important to me. The story and that connection is more important than the car itself. You know, the car's always kind of been there, but you know, there's goofy little things like my dad would go nuts if something rattled in the car.
Yes.
You know, and so there's this little piece of paper that's shoved underneath the horn button to keep it from rattling.
love it.
And it's like, I'm going to leave that there.
Just
a
a little
Fi-
tiny
I
wedge.
could fix the horn button, but no, I
No.
want to see that little piece of paper that Pop's shoved in there.
And that's the thing, because he did it.
Right.
Man, that's so cool. I love that you appreciate that stuff, though. So much these days is, I could just remake it, 3D print it, get a perfect one on there, put that on, and call it a day, sell it.
No, certainly I've gone through periods where it's like focusing on the money or focusing on the thing or whatever. But as you get older, you get a little wiser and you realize that it's the connections, it's our what's in us that's most important.
How did you get there? Was it just age, or did something happen to you, or were you always sort of enlightened? Because that's a place that people don't all get. at the end of however long they live?
I don't know. I mean, it just maybe hitting 50 kind of make you stand up and look around and go, all right, what's going on?
Different perspective.
Different perspective. Seeing your kids grow and they're on their way and doing their thing.
Do you have kids?
I do. Yeah.
How many? 3.
Ooh.
Do we want to say hello?
Hi. I saw them this morning.
I was going to say they're probably grown a bit.
Well, my eldest is in college, and my 2 others are in high school. So there's still a hub of activity at the house there, but I know eventually that'll go away. So it's that sort of connection that I want to try to hold on to as much as possible.
I don't want to ping around too much, but the high school thing, somebody sent me a thing where they're in high school till the end of July or something like that. The end of whatever. They're still in school in Connecticut.
Oh,
and out here they've been out for like a month or something.
Right.
What is summertime like for the California kids? I didn't grow up out here. Neither did Mrs. Ryan. And it seems like, every day is summer. For us, it was, good weather finally, and we can go outside and go to the beach and stuff. You can do that here all year round. So what's summer like for kids, or for you when you were growing up?
Well, it's more. I mean, obviously the weather doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, on the East Coast, if you're dealing with the weather, you built up that like
you're calloused.
I can't wait till summer comes and the sun comes out and you run and dance in the fields and that sort of thing. Maybe I don't know, but
it's true. There's something to celebrate.
No, there's something to look forward to. Obviously, you can
see the passage of time, which is interesting. Out here, it seems that the years go flying by, and I don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Whereas back then, it was like, you can always see when the clock is ticking.
Yeah, no, definitely the change of seasons, I think, changes. But I mean, I don't know. It's summer. You're no school, right?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of my point, though. So what do you do? You can always go to the beach. Is it the same? You just go to the beach more?
You just don't need to do your homework. I guess this is really what it comes down to.
School's out.
School's out.
It sounds nice. I worked every summer since I was like 12, literally 12. I volunteered or some shit. So I didn't really have summers. So I feel like it'd be nice to be like chill out here, and like now I get why Californians don't chill.
That's kind of what I was getting at. You know what I mean? I can't imagine, even from my upbringing, even if I took a summer out to California, it still would be it's summer and I'm on vacation. If you were here all the time, I don't know what it would be like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you look forward to not doing your homework, but I can't really find what the thing would be. It's almost like I feel like they're left out. Like you're missing out on something.
Well, I don't know. Growing up where you grew up and dealing with that sort of weather, is there this like crazy pressure that you need to enjoy every sunny day?
Probably.
Yeah.
You
need to go
you're
out
totally
there.
right. Yeah, FOMO. So you're totally right.
So
not having that, it would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Where I was, it was like oppressively hot when it wasn't cold.
Right.
So it was like, but you like learn to appreciate the oppressive hotness because it's warm out and it's sunny.
Well, that's the whole goal, right? You just want to appreciate whatever situation.
You learn how to be versatile.
Yes.
So that's really what it's all about.
But I don't think we had Springhares. Did you find out where they're from? Those Springhares that you
I didn't really look at climate
Okay.
and that sort of thing. It's probably not much different than it is here, I would guess.
Yeah, you've been to South Africa.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah. I forgot. That's where it's from. Yeah.
It's probably hot.
It's
of the
opposite.
three of us, I think you're the only one who's probably
I'm going to delete that whole thing and let you know that it's like seasons, so it's just the opposite there. So I'm sure it's similar.
There you go.
Climate.
So, I mean, we could ask Squeegee what he thinks.
Squeegee, what?
Right.
All right, so that was a little not here, Russ, of everything but
Sorry
your
about
dad's
that.
car story. Sorry about that. I would love to hear that.
Sure.
I cut you off there.
Anyway, so
Having a little bit of your dad.
having a bit of him is really a cool thing. I think of all the car stuff that I've done, which has been pretty extensive at this point, it's kind of a making dad proud kind of a thing, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
That's huge.
But onto the other connection. My son and I were at the Dana Point Concours a couple years back, displaying a car, and we were out walking the show, much like my dad and I would walk a show when I was a kid. And from across the field, I saw a car that just stopped me, and I went, "That's my dad's car." And when we were kind of during my formative age of remembering everything, he had a 1934 Packard, a big sedan. That was sort of our family classic car. So if we were going to go out for ice cream, we'd take the Packard, or a local parade, or a classic car club tour, or whatever. Yeah. It's like he bought that in 71, I think it was. So I would have been 5, right? Wow. So that's when I can start remembering it. Nice. And then he sold it a couple years before he passed away. And I could tell from across the field that it was the exact same car. It just like all these memories came flooding back to me of, riding on the trunk rack in the local parade, and just all sorts of stuff. And as we walked up close to it, it firmly cemented that this is Dad's car, right?
What were you looking at? Was it just right? It was just everything you remembered, the emotions were there? Or could you actually tell, like, oh, this has this, or this has this?
Well, I mean, it was... I knew the car kind of still existed out there, but I hadn't seen it in over 30 years. Okay. So, I knew it was still in Southern California somewhere, or at least I thought it was. But, to see it, it was... it's not a particularly unique car. I mentioned they made quite a few. It's just a big black sedan. But it was an all-original, unrestored car, and that's a rarity with a car that age. But I mean, the best part was...
And you rode in it when you were little.
Totally.
Come on.
That's the best part.
It was just, I don't know, one of those like chance meetings of seeing, an old family member out there. And anyway, it was really awesome, and it blew me away to see it.
Was it being displayed there?
It was there in the show. And a really fun sort of side note is that it was entered in the preservation class, and so was the car that I was showing, and it beat me. And I could hear my dad laugh. It was like, all right, you did beat me again.
But if there's anybody to be beat by.
Sure. But I mean, the real fun part about that was, I shared the photos of it with the family, and, said, look, Dad's Packard's still around. And my mom kind of took me aside and said, should we buy it back? And I went, no. It's out of my price range, but if you want to buy it back, heck yeah, it'd be great.
I'll drive you around for sure.
Right. So we ended up keeping it a secret from the family, and then shared it with the family for Christmas when everybody was at the family homestead. So we parked the car in the garage where it always sat.
So you bought it a secret, and then kept it a secret. And okay.
Kept it as a secret till Christmas. So we parked it in the same spot it always sat in the garage. There was still a blown up photo, like poster of the car on the wall that had been there since the 70s.
You're kidding.
So it was like pulled right in next to the poster. And
that's so cool.
And then
it's really
cool. Found a little die-cast Hot Wheels toy of the car and made it into a keychain. So everybody unwrapped this little box. Here's the car with the key.
You're adorable. That's awesome.
And then we, went out and opened up the garage door and spent the whole day driving it around and kind of,
That must have been incredible. I mean, that to me. Well, I don't want to say it on I don't want to say it on the air because I'll tell you off the air. We've got an idea for a thing, and I don't want to blow it here.
Right. But I mean, it's that sort of connection. I mean, it's been great because now both my brothers have had a chance to take it out and drive it around. We've followed my mom around and visited her friends.
So
and,
cool.
We've taken the car out to events, and we brought it up to Pebble Beach to one of the shows up there. Had a great event.
Oh, original and restored. It probably does well. Yeah.
I mean, and that was a really interesting thing. I remember showing it with my dad, and it being unrestored back in the 70s wasn't as important as it is today. So it was always kind of like a second-class car, even though it was in beautiful shape.
But it's less desirable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But now the tides have completely changed. And
is that just time? Enough time has passed where there are fewer? It's a numbers game now, the rarity?
Maybe. I don't know what really changed in the collector car game, but now that originality and that soul is so much more important than the quality of the restoration.
100%. But to any car guy, too, not any car guy, but a car guy like you or me,
right?
Where we're looking for that stuff and not the dollar figure at the bottom.
No,
I mean, that's exactly what we're looking for out of a story, out of a car.
Well, I think it's a car can be restored endlessly. So and it's only original once. So, I mean, the 356, when I first got it and it was mine, I went to a 356 club event with it.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of beat up, and they're like, park it over there.
Yeah, under the tree, please.
Okay, fine. The tree was shady under the tree. I'll take it. But
the pine tree.
But still, it didn't quite, And then, so I really didn't take the car out to any Porsche events for a long time. And like 20 years passed, and I went to the Dana Point 356 club event and parked it out there. And I mean, people shot photos of it like crazy. I got a picture of Jeff Zwart taking a photo of his dog next to it. And he posted that photo, and I'm like, whoa, wait
You've
a
made
second.
it. You have arrived.
I didn't even have to restore the car. I just waited long enough for it to be cool.
Yeah.
And,
well, I think that Matt Hummel car, that his little Don car, 176 Don. I don't know that there's a car with more personality out there than that little sucker.
And I really think the whole Porsche scene is kind of changed, and I think a lot of that has to do with you've got Magnus, who...
That's probably the biggest, yeah.
He was probably the biggest
Maybe
game
he
changer.
cracked the egg anyway for everybody else, yeah.
You've got guys like Matt Hummel that, and Mark
Prabonic, yeah.
And I mean, it's
Is
like...
it Prabonic? I don't want to say it wrong.
No, maybe I'm saying it wrong, but...
Sorry, Mark.
I don't know,
we love your stuff.
Right. But, yeah, I don't know. Somehow...
There's been a transition. Cool. I think part of it is the world. The world has changed. Everything is 3D printed. Everything is perfect. The margins are much smaller on the world now. And we're talking about a hand-built era where no two are alike. No two parts are alike almost. I mean, not quite, but you know what I mean? With the exception of the tolerances, the stuff that doesn't matter, nothing's the same. It's almost like we were talking about art before this all started. Mm-hmm. And finding art passion, it's all kind of, it depends on what lights you up. For us, we're kind of similar in the art. I don't remember where I'm going with this, but the fact that these cars have the art, I totally lost it. I was going someplace and then it totally just faded away.
I mean, there's beauty in decay that...
Oh, that's what it was, yeah. Everything's so perfect now that we're looking to the imperfect to find perfection. Right. We had that conversation with Richard Chasler once. Yeah. He's like, there is no fucking, it's perfect or it's not perfect. I'm like, interpret perfect it's like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. What you consider perfect, I may fucking hate and think it's a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's refreshing. It's really, really cool. I mean, you can show up at an event now with a car like that. I mean, I went to a show in LA, they called it La Carretera, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, the big one downtown.
Kind of La Carrera Panamericana sort of theme thing. And I went, okay, that sounds like a cool scene. So I show up with the 356. I purposely didn't wash it. I left it dirty and I parked it out there. But because it seemed like that would fit the vibe.
It's also the type of event it is. It's out in the dirt and
sure
sawdust and stuff.
And I mean, there were amazing cars there and so on and so forth. And they actually gave my car best in show, which blew me away. I mean, to me, it's just like, that's my beater, and it means, the personal connection is what it is. It's not the condition of it. But I mean, that was like this high accolade for its age and where it's been. And
do you not think it deserves it?
That was great.
Or was it just...
No, I didn't think it deserved it, really. Honestly, I absolutely blew me away. I did not expect to receive anything there. I walked around and looked at everything and everything else.
What did you think would beat you out, though? Because I am with you. Like, of course, you would win.
It's the personality. They're drawn to the personality.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess you're always more critical of your own stuff than anybody else's.
Most definitely.
So I look at 100%.
It. And I go, that's why we're telling you.
Anyway, it was cool, and it made me realize that I don't need to spend ungodly amounts of money restoring it to be perfect. In fact, I'll have more fun with it the way that it is. It's just not worth the effort, really. I mean, I dream of someday making it perfect, but
would you enjoy it the same at that point? I feel like that's a different car.
No, probably not. And that was sort of the defining factor when I got it and it was mine. I got it running and driving, and I thought, I'm going to drive it the way Dad did. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a precious thing to him. It wasn't something that he wiped with a diaper. It's something that he absolutely drove the living shit out of.
Yeah.
I drove it hard every single day to work and back. He had a CB radio in there. You know, it was like he just.
I know. We just talked about.
He flogged it, right? And so I didn't want. You know, I've restored a lot of cars, and you get them perfect, and you're afraid to touch them. So, you know, I thought.
Or what's the point? You know what I mean? You spend $25,000 on this, some crazy ass paint job, and then you do drive it.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point? Or you don't drive it, and then it just sits.
I mean, I get the joy of restoration, right? There's something about taking something that's crappy and making it beautiful.
100%.
Right. You know,
absolutely.
It's
fulfilling. It makes you
it's
feel
fulfilling,
good.
right? You're making the world a prettier place. 100%. Whatever. You know, you're
fixing
saving something.
Yes, absolutely. Preservation is nice.
Right. You know, so that I get that, and originally I really wanted to go that direction with it, but I'm just having too much fun with it, so I probably never will.
I think, my 2 cents as an outsider, you guys are restoring the stories. You're adventing like another piece of the story to these cars, and that's restorative in emotional ways.
As I've kind of analyzed what I've done as far as building cars and things like that, the part that really turns me on is that story. I mean, it's that I want to hear where the car's been, who's touched it, the travels it's taken. You know, just to me, that is the most valuable thing. You can't necessarily put a dollar figure on it, but it's like, so now I chase that. I don't chase a car because it's valuable. I don't, chase it because I can make a bunch of money on it. I like chase the story. I want to learn who had it. What was their life like.
What's the deal? Yeah.
And it's like this amazing treat in this trip that you can take that, and then to share that with somebody else is awesome too.
Agreed.
You know, it's if I find a car and pull it out of, the weeds somewhere, I want to celebrate that story and make sure that the next guy gets that story and realizes that that's important.
When you do find cars and stuff like that, are you able to, do you document it all while you're doing it? Or, you know what I mean? It's not like you have your own reality show where they're just following you around on your exploits.
That's something that, like, as I've done this, and, my happy place is finding some dusty car in a shed somewhere. When I really boil it down to the part that never gets old, always excites me, it's that discovery. It's that sort of Indiana Jones,
every little kid, Goonies, every little kid.
Find that thing, that's the moment. So I'm trying to do whatever I can to be in that moment as much as possible. So I threw a name out there, Carchaeology. It's like archaeology, but cars, right? And so I
thanks for the breakdown.
Registered the name. Right? Some people don't get it. They see it written out.
I don't understand.
Oh, God. It's true. They don't. But so I just kind of threw that out there in the cosmos, going, okay. And then as I would find something, I would document it. I'd go chase a Craigslist ad as something dusty that looks interesting, and then find that history and talk to the people and find out what's up about it, document the retrieval of that car and recommissioning it and stuff. And I just sharing photos through social media, and people dig it.
Yeah.
So
people dig it. It's definitely how I got involved. Like people seem to resonate with that part of our lifestyle change too, was like appreciating that, like, not the newest thing, like not just finding the beauty and things that exist and that are out there. And
found beauty is huge. Yeah. It's all around you, people.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
It's all around all of us all the time.
All those stories though, and they're really neat. There's so many of them. There's so many guys like you that are like hidden gems that you unearth by accident that like have the greatest stories, and it's really cool to see and be around it. Thanks for keeping it going.
All right. I'll do it again. Right.
Bug and Box, by the way, on Instagram, we should probably say Bug and Box at the letter N. You've got great stuff on that you do, but also just stuff you see. Just cool, like we do. That's an interesting glimpse from my life today.
I mean, that's been such a bizarre thing. I mean, I when I found out about it, obviously I'd been on Facebook before and stuff, but when Instagram popped up, I thought, okay, well, here's the quick creative outlet, right? I can take a picture, I can play with the filters, make it look really pretty, and like post it up there. And it was just
in a matter of like minutes, maybe
right.
seconds even.
Yeah, no, a little 2-minute stop in my day to appreciate something of beauty, whether it's, you know, the shadow of the coffee cup
100%.
here or whatever. It's like, click, okay, I captured that. And I really did it just to entertain myself. And then I found that it entertained other people.
It's very similar.
And the people that I've met through that, the places that I've been, the opportunities that have landed in my lap as a result of just kind of putting that stuff out there has absolutely blown my mind. So, I mean,
You're the first guest where we've needed to use both guest chairs. Well, Siskel and Ebert are dead. You know what I mean? Like, this is it.
So it's Randy and Squeegee.
Oh, my God.
Why do you have to use guest chairs? Well, it's very simple. Randy and Squeegee.
FYI.
You are a delight, and I could talk to you forever. We're already out of time, but I do want to say one of the things that was important to you when you agreed to do this was you said you liked what we were doing. You liked that we were being very positive. That was important to you, putting positivity out in the world. That's something I see in your posts as well, and maybe it's just the fact that you see the world in a similar way that I do. But your art, I look at it in a similar way that I do my own, and that's my way of contributing. It seems like that's your way of contributing. Would that be fair?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's way too much negativity out there in the world, especially throughout social media. And it's like people focus on that. I don't get it at all. So anything I put out there, I really want it to be a positive thing. And, you know, we all have our hardships and we have our moments where you're like, screw this. But nobody wants to hear it. You know, just put out positive vibes and you get that back. So that's all huge.
I mean, if there isn't a better note to end on, good grief.
That's the mantra.
You're awesome. Thank you for being here. I hope that we can do this again sometime because we didn't get to anything on the card in typical fashion, didn't scratch the surface. But I'm enjoying talking to you.
And me too, definitely.
What do we have tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow is Wednesday the 4th.
4th of July.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
I know. I'm not feeling all that patriotic this year. I'm
Well,
not
it's
feeling
on a
all that
Wednesday.
proud to be an
It
American.
doesn't feel like that weekend thing.
I was just at the grocery store. There's tons of hot dogs and hamburgers. Like, I didn't buy anything. I was thinking, go get some Chinese food or something. I don't want to be I don't want to be not patriotic.
Right.
But I'm not feeling it either. And it's like, what do you do?
Well, that's a deeper conversation.
It is. Right. What do you do? What do you do? I mean,
you have hot dogs and you wave the flag and
you do still. You do, right?
You do
because you have to.
Because we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's places you can't do this.
That's a hell of a point.
You know?
It's a good perspective to add to the mix when it's sorely needed.
Yeah. That's why I kind of brought it up, was
everything.
I was hoping you'd have a different perspective.
Yeah, just celebrate everything. Celebrate July the 5th.
Now you're talking. Okay, now you're talking
whatever.
though. But now that I can get on board with. Celebrate every day. But we already do that. So that's where all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know if I need to celebrate. If I were against trees, I wouldn't celebrate Arbor Day. I'm not against trees. I love trees.
I'm going to throw it out that
and I'm not against, you know what I mean? Like, we don't get political on the show. It's just one of those, like, it's such a weird time.
I totally get it. That's why it's one of the things that I've come to celebrate our anniversary is that, like, it's not the holiday. It's just, like, right before it, separate. I don't love celebrating this holiday, but I love celebrating us.
All right, well, it's a different conversation. I mean, that tells, sure. That's what we could
do. Derail that?
No, that's what we can do, and we're fine. I mean, for everybody.
Celebrate
us. Celebrate everything.
Celebrate everything is definitely the message.
Message.
All right, we love everybody at home. We love you, Randy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Squeegee.
No.
Right back at you, later. Mrs. Ryan, I love you. Happy anniversary, and we love all of you at home. We will see you. We're going to see you tomorrow. Yeah. So there's that. Bye.
I can't believe I'm so bad. There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.